2021 is quickly taking form, with many developers rising from the ashes of 2020 to get their games finalized and hopefully out for release. There's quite a few strategy games on the list already this year, and we'll get into those in another video, but today I want to focus on the city builders. City builders will always have a special place in my gaming soul, as Caesar 3 and Pharaoh were among the very first strategy games I ever played, and there are quite a few that are on the docket already this year. There's just a couple of requirements for games to make it on this list. First, it has to primarily be a city building game, obviously. Second, it has to release, hopefully, this year. Early access titles released last year do not count. These games will lastly not be on any of the other upcoming video game release videos I plan on cranking out in the next week or so. With all that out of the way, let's dive into all of the all of the city builders coming out in 2021. I'm only halfway joking when I said this is a list for Egyptian themed city builders, as the first 4 are indeed taking place there geographically, and over 3/4 of all the games in this video taking place relatively close to the same time period. Beginning with Builders of Egypt, developed by Strategy Labs and published by Playway/Creative Forge Games. This one's been in development for quite a while and on my radar since its announcement. This ancient city builder will take you through the ages of Egyptian history, from the proto-dynastic villages all the way through the golden age of whitewashed pyramids and massive religious complexes. Builders of Egypt utilizes some unique mechanics that do set it apart from the others in this genre. First, employment is dependent on proximity to houses. Not like the old classic city builders, but rather housing has a zone of control. Any buildings outside of that zone will not see workers arrive. The other notable changes is that all transactions, such as wages, trade, construction, and tribute, either use bread or beer. Considering the time period, both were considered a form of currency rather than minted coins, so the production of these materials will be crucial to your survival and prosperity. I still remain hopeful on the potential for Builders of Egypt. Having played the demo during the Steam Fall sale, there are some great mechanics in the game I would love to see play out as missions progress. I suppose we'll get to see soon, since Builders of Egypt is due to release in Q1 of 2021. Pharaoh: A New Era is hands down my most anticipated Egyptian-themed city builder for some very obvious reasons. Developed by Triskel Interactive and published by Dotemu, Pharaoh: A New Era is not a remaster, rather an entire remake of the classical Pharaoh and Cleopatra made by Impressions Games. In this isometric 2D city builder, Pharaoh: A New Era will feature 50 missions and over 100 hours of gameplay that combine both of the classic games, which are being built from scratch, down to the base code. The goal is to create a Pharaoh experience that feels just like the old games, but playable with today's modern specs. For those that don't know about the oldies, Pharaoh and Cleopatra brought you through the same time period as that last game I just mentioned, where you'll manage food production, craft various goods, spread religion and entertainment, along with keeping up with public health and education to progress your cities to higher and higher standards. Its wonders are the best part, crafting simple brick mastabas in the beginning to temple complexes and my favorite, bent pyramids. The nostalgia is incredibly real, and you can actually watch the team remake assets on their YouTube page, bringing the old early 2000s graphics up to speed in glorious clarity. If you can't tell, I am a bit hyped for this game, and I really hope that it delivers when the time comes. If there's any real concern, it's that we have yet to see any actual gameplay outside of the 5 seconds of the announcement trailer. Fingers crossed we old Ben get to see something soon, as Pharaoh: A New Era doesn't exactly have a specific 2021 release date, but a coming soon instead. That means 2021, right? Yeah, sure it does. Up next, we have Dynasty of the Sands, developed by and published by Rocket Flare Studios. The city builder is a little different from the other guys, at least from what we've seen so far. More open world minded and fantasy in nature, what sets Dynasty of the Sands apart is that the gods have a much more physical presence in the game. You'll need to appease them through sacrifices, statues, temples, and shrines, lest they send beasts or other ailments against your cities. Mechanics such as a day-night cycle, weather, wildlife, and disease will present a greater challenge in keeping your people happy, and a balance of basic needs, production, entertainment, and appeasing the gods will be required to build a grand city. I was able to play a very early demo forever back, sometime I think around February of 2020. Even then, with some very basic buildings and mechanics, it was quite fun to play. The graphics and aesthetics of the terrain made for a very different feel than the typical Egyptian city builder. Hopefully we get to see some more gameplay soon, and maybe I can show off some things. Dynasty of the Sands also does not have a definitive release date, although they've let us know via their Steam page that an announcement is due around Q2 of 2021. Our next city builder finally takes us out of Egypt, sort of. Neolithic is a 2D isometric ancient city builder developed and published by Alex Harvey. In this change of pace city builder, most of your time playing will be in this Neolithic era, where you'll take your people through the time period, balancing resource management, expansion, and eventually combat up to the Bronze Age collapse. Neolithic goes a bit deeper with its mechanics than the aforementioned other city builders, as each person has their own strengths and weaknesses, along with certain affinities toward tasks. Some people may be better hunters, others farmers, even people that prefer religious or political positions. You'll need to craft your own tools as well, which makes these people better at their jobs. Developing and capitalizing on these synergies will allow you to create an efficient, early city-state of sorts with production lines, husbandry and agriculture, religion, etc., etc. Neolithic has been in development for over 3 years now after a successful Kickstarter. While that may not inspire too much hope for some, having direct contact with Alex and an active Discord, I can tell you that progress is being made. As a single dev and a dad of multiple kids, I personally understand why development has not been leaping forward. The game does look great though and has evolved a great deal in development, so I for one am still hopeful that we will get to see a 2021 release, if way later in the year. The isometric city builders continue with Nebuchadnezzar, developed and published by Nepos Games. You'll get serious Impressions game vibes from this one, as it looks like a solid blend of Pharaoh and Zeus with some hints of Rise of the Middle Kingdom. Taking place from the colonization of the ancient lands to the conquest of Babylon by the Persians in the 6th century BC. The dozen historical missions of the campaign will present ever-evolving scenarios in which you'll need to adapt your city building skills in order to thrive. From the videos and images, Nebuchadnezzar looks to be a bit more micromanagement heavy, with custom employment, custom walking routes, and the ability to completely craft how your monuments are designed being among the more obvious ways. There looks to be a very solid range of production lines and methods of city layouts as well. Overall, I'm very much looking forward to playing this one, which we'll all get to do for sure on February 17th, 2021. I'm lumping Builders of Greece and Builders of China together for this one, and honestly, struggled with wanting to put them in here at all. Announced late last year, both Builders of Greece and Builders of China were unexpected announcements. Creative Forge Games, Strategy Labs, and Live Motion Games all seem to be either sister companies or work very, very closely with each other, as they're all a part of the now apparent Builders franchise. Not much is known about these two new versions, although there are apparent different mechanics for all three of the Builder games, with Greece focusing on architecture efficiency with buildings and its citizens, with China focusing on the various landscapes and the will of the emperor. Combined with the fact that they are in development, supposedly, by different companies, there's a decent chance that we will see something more concrete right after the initial release of Builders of Egypt. I'm cautiously hopeful that we won't just be seeing reskins of Builders of Egypt and actually different games just in the same franchise. Both of these games do not have a concrete release date, just coming soon. Up next is City State 2, developed and published by Annie Stark. Probably butchered that last name, apologies. The successor to City State 1, which was a hearkening to the original SimCity games, City State 2 has seen a pretty impressive overhaul graphically, going from a simple 2D isometric to a voxel-style 3D game. City State 2 will bring about several improvements with fast road systems, commercial, residential, and industrial zones, along with things like actual population control with immigration policies, economics and trade, even politics, with over 50 different policies able to be enacted. There's not too terribly much to look at right now, and not even a video showcasing any features, just screenshots. But the game does look promising, and since City State 1 and 2 are both made by the same dude, it's safe to say that City State 2 should be relatively complex for the simple voxel style appeal. Steam page for this one is looking at a May 2021 release. Power to the People is our next city builder, although technically it's not really a city builder, more a city keep togetherer. Developed and published by Hermes Interactive, in this voxel style 3D game, rather than craft a city and help it to thrive in the traditional sense, you are actually working to keep power flowing uninterrupted into the city to keep it alive in that way. In this game, you will be managing a city or cities power grid in a whole host of ways. Will you use nuclear power to generate huge amounts of energy, or are you more environmentally inclined and go for more natural in your approach? With a wide array of power plant types and energy storage solutions, you can design your own power grid however you want. Just be aware that your city is ever growing. Not only is there a risk of overloading your power lines and substations or running out of power, but natural disasters will totally be a thing too. So backup plans are both available and necessary in order to keep the city running smooth no matter the situation. Power to the People looks pretty dang fun and a less intense city builder among this group, although I can see how things might get there should you mismanage your grid or something drastic happen. Looking forward to checking this one out, although with just a 2021 release date, I'm not too sure when I'll get my hands on it just yet. The last of the real-world city builders is City Architect. Developed by Enodo and published by Focus Home Interactive, City Architect used to be called the Architect Paris. Since the Focus Home Enodo announcement way back in 2018, little to no new information has been announced aside from the new name found in Focus Home's 20 to 2021 financial report. The premise before things went dark is simple. You are an architect firm that is looking to take over the 80 districts that make up Paris. You would be able to redesign the entire city from the ground up. Want to put advertisement bulletins on the Eiffel Tower? Sure, go ahead. Fill the city with gardens and trees, bringing back nature? Sure, that can be doable as well. The idea is that it is up to you how the future of Paris looks and feels. And the last we saw, it really was up to you to how you accomplish that. I've been very much looking forward to this game for quite literally years, having discovered it back in 2017. Foundations look great, graphics were stellar, and the mechanics were very interesting. Having heard absolutely nothing about the game in close to 3 years though, does have my doubting just how great it could be, but hopefully I'm completely off base. The social media team have been on blackout mode since the announcement in 2018, with the simple, "the game isn't ready" messages on their Discord. The 2020-2021 reports I just mentioned have City Architect releasing sometime Q1 or Q2 of 2021 into early access. These last city builders are more fantasy than real world, starting with Distant Kingdoms. Developed by Orthra Studio and published by Casito Games, this city builder dives into a few other genres, including some RPG aspects. Set sometime in the distant past, it is your job to ensure the survival of humans, dwarves, elves, and orcs in the fabled world of Aniron, as it appears you won't be building just a single town, but rather an entire network of them to create an entire civilization. Each race has their own needs with their own levels of society, and no doubt things like buildings, military units, food variety, etc. will match each different race as well. The RPG adventure aspect comes into play as you explore new areas. You'll send a team out to fight whatever's out there in a choose-your-own-adventure style quest and event system, fighting trolls and other monsters, no doubt, in order to gain control of the lands where they dwell. There's not much information outside of that, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what they've been cooking, although it does look to be a pretty cool city building game so far. Distant Kingdoms is set to release sometime in 2021. If you thought a city builder with a bunch of fantasy races was different enough, how about a city builder with just beavers? That's right. Timberborn is a city building game all about lumberjacking beavers. Developed and published by Mechanistry, the world as we know it is gone. Humans are wiped out, and now these evolved beavers have taken center stage in the world. Timberborn has some pretty impressive features for a city builder, as your settlements revolve around the ability to control the rivers, and harness both its energy in the form of what's been dubbed as lumberpunk and a means of survival since the river dries up in the summer. It's up to you how you'll manage the well-being of your beaver population, be it through entertainment and various produced goods, or through efficient vertical architecture to take advantage of the lay of the land. There is a lot going on with this game, and having quite literally received pre-release access the day I'm writing this very script, I will soon be able to voice my opinion of this unique and interesting city builder on Twitch, which is due for early access release sometime in Q1 of 2021. Our final city builder is also a blend of genres in the best of ways. Diplomacy Is Not an Option is developed and published by Door 407, and the best description I can think of is a medieval They Are Billions. However, instead of defending against zombies, you are a bored lord that's weary of hunting and gallivanting to do royal things. Instead, you've decidedly pissed off the peasantry, and they are now on their way to kill you. This blend of city building, RTS base building, and tower defense will allow you to build up defenses and units, develop your economy and your walls, preparing your castle for the inevitable massive wave of pitchforks and spears that will come your way. Diplomacy Is Not an Option has that comforting low poly voxel vibe to it that's becoming more and more common among strategy games, and that should actually play to its favor considering the crazy amount of units that could be on the map at any given time. Diplomacy Is Not an Option is set to release into early access sometime in 2021, so fingers crossed it doesn't get drowned out by larger releases. And that will be all for my 2021 City Builder Games video. It'll be very interesting to see how these all play out with so much competition in the strategy genre. Most of these are single or small team developers, so I hope they have their marketing hats on. They'll need it with the huge amount of strategy games releasing this year. Let me know what city builders you're looking forward to playing in the comment section below, including any that I haven't mentioned. Several, if not all of these, I plan on streaming once I get access to them, so check the Twitch link in the description to give me a follow so you know when I play them. If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel as well and giving the video a thumbs up, as it does help this get seen by the YouTube algorithm. Be on the lookout for at least one other 2021 strategy related video. This is Havoc, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.